Marriage, I once believed, was meant to be built on trust, respect, and devotion. That was the vision I carried when I married Ashley 12 years ago. Back then, she was everything to me, my confidant, my partner, my best friend. I truly thought we would grow old together. But something along the way shifted, almost imperceptibly at first. A missed date night here, a distant hug there, less laughter, less warmth. An invisible wall rose between us, and I kept telling myself it was just life, work, responsibilities, the constant grind. But over time, the gap widened until it was no longer something I could pretend to ignore. The breaking point came one ordinary evening after dinner. I asked her softly, "Do you ever feel like we've drifted apart?" She barely looked up from her phone, her expression blank. "What do you mean?" she asked. My voice wavered as I tried to explain. "It feels like we're more like roommates than husband and wife. We barely connect anymore, and we haven't been intimate in months." She rolled her eyes and set her phone down. "Michael, intimacy isn't something I owe you. I'm not an object for you to use whenever you want." Her words hit me like a slap. Shaken, I tried to explain. "I'm not asking for that. I'm saying we're supposed to be partners, emotionally and physically. Don't you miss being close to me?" She shrugged coldly. "Maybe I've outgrown that part of us." Those words echoed inside me for weeks. How could a wife outgrow intimacy with her husband? I tried to brush it off as stress or a phase, but deep down I knew something was terribly wrong. I made efforts, planning nights out, leaving small notes, even suggesting therapy. But every attempt was brushed aside with annoyance. "Why are you making such a big deal about this?" she snapped one night. "Because I care about us," I said, frustrated. "I care about our marriage." She stayed silent. Her silence was louder than any argument. Then came the night everything unraveled. Ashley said she was meeting friends for drinks. I stayed home. A notification popped up on her tablet, synced to her phone. The message preview read, "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing." My heart sank. The sender's name, Brian. His face unfamiliar. When she returned home, I confronted her. "Who's Brian?" I demanded, holding up the tablet. For a moment she froze, but quickly regained composure. "He's just a friend," she said defensively. My voice shook with fury. "A friend? That's not how you talk to a friend." She snatched the device. "You had no right to snoop through my messages." "Snoop?" I shot back. "It was right there, Ashley. I didn't have to dig. Just tell me who he is." Arms folded. She looked me straight in the eye. "Brian is someone I work with. We've gone out a few times, but it's not serious. Honestly, I wouldn't have if you had been paying attention to me." Her words gutted me. She wasn't just excusing it, she was blaming me. "So instead of talking to me, you ran to another man?" My voice trembled. "Do you hear how insane that sounds?" She rolled her eyes again. "You're being dramatic. It's not like I slept with him." My blood turned cold. "Not yet," I said. Her silence confirmed everything. That night, I couldn't stay in our bed. I slept on the couch, consumed by rage and betrayal. The next morning, she brewed coffee as though nothing had happened. That was the moment I knew. I wasn't letting it slide. I called a lawyer. "I need to talk about divorce," I said, my voice barely steady. The house turned into a battlefield of silence. She carried on with her phone in hand, smiling at messages that weren't from me, dressing differently, brushing off my questions with vague excuses about friends or work. I hired a private investigator. It felt drastic, but I needed proof, real proof. And I got it. Photos of Ashley with Brian at bars, in parks, leaving a hotel late at night, kissing in a parking lot. It was undeniable. My chest tightened as I stared at the evidence. When she came home that evening, I was waiting in the dark. The folder of photos lay on the table. "We need to talk," I said coldly. Her eyes flicked to the folder, her voice shaking. "What's that?" "Proof," I answered. I laid the pictures before her. "Care to explain?" She broke down sobbing. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was lonely. You were always so busy. Brian made me feel wanted. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So instead of speaking to your husband, you cheat? You've destroyed everything. Our marriage, my trust." She cried, but for once, I felt no sympathy. I had already spoken to a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce, I told her, my voice flat. She begged, pleaded, promised to change. But there was no going back. I left that night, crashing at my friend Eric's place. He was stunned but supportive. Don't blame yourself, he told me firmly. She made her choices. And he was right. The days that followed were heavy. Ashley called and texted nonstop, alternating between apologies and accusations. I ignored every message. When I returned to the house to pack my belongings, she begged again, crying that she'd been stupid, that Brian meant nothing. But I was done. A mistake is forgetting milk at the store, I told her. This was deliberate. You chose this, Ashley. Life after Ashley was strange at first. I moved into a small downtown apartment, threw myself into work, reconnected with friends, started going to the gym. Slowly, I felt myself rediscovering who I was outside of her shadow. Then unexpectedly, I saw Brian in a cafe. He recognized me and muttered a half-hearted apology. I cut him off, told him he was pathetic and walked out. That encounter gave me something I hadn't realized I needed: closure. Ashley's life unraveled soon after. She lost her job, and Brian vanished from her world. Friends told me she moved back with her parents. She sent long emails begging me to forgive her, promising therapy, counseling, whatever it took. I read them once, then archived them. There was nothing left to salvage. As the divorce finalized, I felt lighter. I redecorated my apartment, filled it with things that reflected me, not compromises. I took early morning runs, rediscovered hobbies, rebuilt friendships. Then I bumped into Sarah, an old college friend. We reconnected, slowly, naturally. She was honest, thoughtful, and refreshing. Everything my marriage had lacked. With her, there were no games, just sincerity. Meanwhile, Ashley spiraled. She sent one final message months later, saying she was sorry, that she hoped I'd find happiness. I didn't reply. Not out of cruelty, but because I didn't need to. By the time the divorce was final, I was no longer broken. I was free. Free to live, free to grow, free to build something better. With Sarah, I didn't feel like I was replacing Ashley. I felt like I was starting fresh. Looking at the skyline one evening with her hand in mine, I realized something vital. I owed Ashley nothing. Not forgiveness, not closure. But I owed myself happiness. And for the first time in years, I had finally found it.